The sign you are looking for. Sometimes the sign you are asking for doesn't arrive as a miracle. It arrives as a moment, a quiet click on a video, a sentence that feels strangely personal, a message that seems to speak directly into the questions you never said out loud. And the strange part is, you didn't search for it. You just found it. Or maybe it found you. Because here is a paradox most people overlook. The universe rarely shouts its answers. It whispers them through timing, through coincidence, through the strange feeling that something appearing in front of you right now is not random at all. Maybe you asked for clarity. Maybe you asked for direction. Maybe you whispered into the silence one night, "Give me a sign." And now, here you are, watching this. Not because an algorithm decided, but because something inside you was ready to recognize it. And the truth is, signs rarely look like magic. They look like moments that feel impossibly accurate, moments that arrive exactly when your mind is searching and your soul is listening. So, before we go any further, pause for a second, take a breath, and ask yourself honestly, what question were you carrying before you clicked this video? Because whatever it was, this might be the response, not from the screen, but from the deeper intelligence that quietly organizes the timing of your life, the moments that feel too perfect. You've experienced this before. Those strange moments when life seems to respond almost immediately. You think about someone you haven't spoken to in years and suddenly their name appears. You're struggling with a decision and a random sentence from a stranger answers it perfectly. You glance at the clock and it reads 11:11. You notice feathers on the ground exactly on days you're asking for reassurance. Or you stumble onto something like this video on a night when your mind feels heavier than usual. Moments like these are easy to dismiss. Your logical mind says, coincidence, random, just the internet doing its thing. But something deeper inside you hesitates because the timing feels too precise, too personal, almost as if reality itself is responding to your internal questions. Carl Jung had a word for this: synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. Events that are not connected by direct cause and effect, but by meaning. Moments where the outer world mirrors something happening within you. Not because the universe is performing tricks, but because consciousness and reality are not as separate as we were taught to believe. And when your awareness shifts, life begins to echo it, like a mirror reflecting light. Why signs appear when you need them? Here's something fascinating about the human mind. Your brain processes millions of pieces of information every second, but it only allows a tiny fraction of that information into your conscious awareness. Why? Because attention is selective. You notice what you're looking for. If you suddenly decide to buy a certain car, you start seeing that car everywhere. If someone tells you a new word, you begin hearing it constantly. The information was always there, but your awareness changed. And the same thing happens with signs. When you ask the universe for guidance, something subtle shifts inside you. Your perception becomes tuned to meaning. Your mind becomes open to patterns. Your intuition becomes more sensitive to the quiet signals moving through reality. Suddenly, you notice numbers, symbols, messages, encounters, timing. Not because the universe suddenly started sending them, but because you became ready to recognize them. Think of it like tuning a radio. The signal was always present, but until you adjusted the frequency, all you heard was noise, the deeper layer, when the inner and outer align. But synchronicity isn't just psychology. There's something deeper happening too. When your internal state changes, your beliefs, your focus, your emotional frequency, your behavior shifts, your decisions shift, your attention shifts, and those shifts subtly reorganize your external reality. You click different things, you notice different opportunities, you speak to different people, you move through life in a slightly different direction, and suddenly the path begins unfolding in front of you. From the outside, it looks like luck, or coincidence, or fate, but from the inside, it feels like alignment. Like the moment a river finally finds the direction it was always meant to flow. Carl Jung believed synchronicities happen most often during moments of transformation, moments when the old version of you is dissolving and a new version is beginning to emerge. During these phases, reality becomes strangely responsive, almost conversational. You ask a question, life answers with a symbol. You feel uncertain, life sends reassurance. You doubt your direction, life places a reminder directly in your path. Not because the universe is controlling every detail, but because when your awareness expands, you begin participating consciously in the unfolding of your life. The metaphor of the night sky. Imagine standing under the night sky, thousands of stars above you, patterns everywhere. But unless someone points them out, they look random, scattered, disconnected. Then someone traces a shape, a constellation, and suddenly you see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The stars didn't change. Your perception did. Synchronicity works the same way. Your life is filled with patterns, guidance, symbols, timing. But most of the time, we move too fast to notice. Too distracted, too analytical, too busy trying to control the outcome. So life begins whispering louder, through repeated signs, through unusual timing, through moments that feel too perfectly placed to ignore, until eventually you pause long enough to recognize the constellation. From seeking signs to becoming aware. Here's where many people misunderstand this idea. They start chasing signs, looking for numbers everywhere, interpreting every random event as a message. But true alignment doesn't come from obsession. It comes from awareness. Signs don't appear because you force them. They appear when you become quiet enough to notice what was already there. Think of it like watching a lake. When the surface is disturbed by wind and movement, you see nothing clearly. But when the water becomes still, the reflection appears. Your mind works the same way. When your thoughts are frantic, when your energy is scattered, when you're desperately demanding answers, everything looks confusing. But when you slow down, when you breathe, when you allow space for intuition, life becomes easier to read. The signals become clearer. The direction becomes visible. Not because the universe suddenly changed, but because you did. What this moment might mean for you. So let's return to this moment. You clicked this video. Maybe out of curiosity. Maybe because the title caught your attention. Maybe because something inside you felt strangely drawn to it. And maybe you're watching right now because a part of you has been asking questions. Questions about your path, your purpose, your next step, or simply whether you're moving in the right direction. If that's true, then consider this possibility. Maybe the sign you asked for was never meant to be dramatic. Maybe it was meant to be subtle, a moment of reflection, a reminder that you're not as lost as your mind sometimes tells you. Because here is the deeper truth about signs. They rarely tell you exactly what to do. Instead, they do something more powerful. They remind you to trust the unfolding. They remind you that life is responding even when you cannot see the full picture. They remind you that the path is being revealed step by step. When you start trusting the patterns, something interesting happens when you begin trusting synchronicity. You relax. You stop forcing everything. You become more present, more attentive, more open to the subtle guidance moving through everyday moments. And as that happens, life starts feeling less like a struggle and more like a conversation. You notice the right ideas arriving at the right time. You notice the right opportunities appearing when you're ready. You notice the right people crossing your path in ways that feel strangely aligned. Not perfect, not magical, but coherent. Like puzzle pieces slowly finding their place. And the more you trust this unfolding, the more life seems to cooperate with it. Because trust changes how you move. It changes how you decide. It changes the energy you bring into each moment. And that energy shapes the experiences that follow. A quiet truth about signs. But there's something important to remember. Signs are not meant to replace your judgment. They are not meant to remove uncertainty. They are simply reminders, small nudges that say, pay attention, stay aware, keep moving forward. They don't remove the mystery of life. They invite you to participate in it, like a trail of lanterns appearing just far enough apart to guide you through the night, not lighting the entire path, but illuminating the next step. The sign may have already arrived. So if you ask the universe for a sign, pause for a moment. Look at where you are right now. Look at the questions that have been on your mind. Look at the timing of this moment. And consider the possibility that the sign you are waiting for might not arrive tomorrow. It might not appear in some dramatic event. It might already be here, in a realization, in a shift of perspective, in the quiet recognition that your life is not random chaos, but a series of patterns waiting to be noticed. Maybe the sign isn't telling you exactly where to go. Maybe it's reminding you that you're already moving, already learning, already aligning with something deeper. So take a breath. Let go of the pressure to understand everything immediately. Trust that clarity often arrives one small moment at a time, one realization, one synchronicity, one quiet sign. And if something in this message felt strangely personal, if it arrived at a moment when you needed reassurance the most, then maybe it wasn't random after all. Maybe it was simply the moment you became ready to notice. And if this resonated with you, like and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for your own alignment. Because sometimes the messages that appear in your life are not accidents, they're reminders. And the fact that this one found you today might be a sign that you're exactly where you're meant to be.